Hi, I'm Zach Fagenson with Miami Today here at the American Airlines Arena for an interview with Mike Walker. He's the Executive Vice President of the Heat Group Enterprises, and he's the man responsible for bringing in all the events to the arena on the nights where the Heat aren't playing. He's worked everywhere from Madison Square Garden to Radio City Music Hall. Now he's focused on bringing everybody from Joel Osteen to the band Phish. In the long term, he's looking at bringing back events like the MTV Video Music Awards.
I'll be here 10 years in April. I came to the Heat Group in April of 2001. And basically my background is in the entertainment and related sports business. Primarily spent some almost 30 years now, starting with my first job at Disneyland out of college and moving into everything from the theme park business in an early career, Disneyland, Busch Gardens, to the Convention and Visitors Bureau, which I spent 5 years with the Anaheim Visitor and Convention Bureau. And then I made the big move to New York in 1981 and joined Radio City Music Hall. Spent 7 years with them, and we kind of repositioned and kind of opened up and saved, if you will, the music hall at that point in time. And then moved to Madison Square Garden, where I was Senior Vice President of Marketing for the Garden for 4 years. And with that, I also moved out to California again to run a special events division for the Garden that we owned as president, and that included Miss Universe, which was an interesting 3 years because we actually produced and staged pageants not only in the U.S. for Miss USA and Miss Teen USA, but around the world for Miss Universe in Thailand, Mexico City, and Philippines. The company was sold, and I moved to Western New York in 1995 and spent 5 years with a company called Delaware North, which is in the hospitality, food service business, as well as managing tourism and attractions throughout the country. It's a privately held company by the Jacobs family. Mr. Jacobs also owns the Boston Bruins and the Boston Gardens. So that kind of translated to what I was doing before, and that's how I met the folks here in Miami when I came down here. In the attraction for the opportunity, the building had been open for a year. I became aware of the opportunity through some people that I had worked with at Madison Square Garden and Radio City Music Hall, who introduced me at that point in time to my current boss, Eric Woolworth. And Eric was looking for something in the way of stimulating more business other than just basketball. It had been open for a year, and it didn't seem to be on the right track to attracting the kinds of events that a more typical business would be in a new arena. So the question was why, and we need somebody to figure out how to do that. And there wasn't currently a person in the senior management position that was responsible for that. So in our conversations, I thought the opportunity and the challenge was terrific. My family was somewhat mature to the extent my kids were pretty much through school. And I came down here with my wife and one son. The other two had moved on and lived in Southern California. And it basically was a great challenge to kind of reposition this building, which is somewhat of what I do in the background of strategic, not crisis management, but something to the extent of trying to fix things that not necessarily are working the right way.
Sure.
And it took me about, I guess, 6 months to kind of understand the market a little bit and see where our strengths and weaknesses were. We have a really good small staff of people here that work with me on this on a daily basis. And, you know, it was obvious to us that the old building was still open, the old arena, and some of the business that was there was staying there as opposed to coming here. A lot of it was the Latin shows, and I wanted to kind of figure out, well, why didn't they want to come here? And the reality was that nobody really asked them. And to the extent that we wanted to extend an invitation to all of our producers and promoter friends, we certainly didn't want to overlook the Latin community. And we felt that this was the place that any Latin artist would want to play when they came to Miami.
Sure.
And fortunately, as of now, we're probably second only to Madison Square Garden as the single most important spot that Latin artists want to play when they tour North America. We've had over 60 some odd Latin artists play here in the 10 years that I've been here, some multiple times. Mark Anthony currently holds the record for the most shows and the most tickets, and Shakira is the female artist that holds the most, the record for the most shows and most tickets.